Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is GDS, and today, well, first of all, today I wanted to say thank you for coming back to my channel, and if you're new here, then hello, welcome. I hope you like this video. I hope you've been enjoying your holidays, whatever those are, whether you spend those alone, with your friends, or with your family. I'm sure that many people subscribe to this channel and then forgot they subscribed to it because I haven't released anything in like 4 weeks or 5 weeks or something, and that's just because I've been spending time with my family, with my friends, and I also have a full-time job, so I try to upload when I can, and I figured that you guys want a video and not a community post that tells you there isn't a video. So that's why you haven't had a video. I just thought you wouldn't care about a post, you just want a video. And this is it. So last time, in the last video, which you can find here or here, I don't know which side it's, I think it's here. We talked about open world building, and specifically we talked about leaving space, why it's important to leave space in your world. This time we're going to talk about how to actually start an open world game. So in the last one we said this is what you should do when you plan for one. In this one we're going to say, let's say you get together with a bunch of friends and they're down to play open world. What do you actually do? So just to be clear, this is not everything you need to know about running D&D or about running any kind of game. This is not even for D&D specifically. This is just how to start running an open world game. So first we're going to talk about what you do before the first session. Some people call this session 0, and that's okay. We can start with 0. The first thing that you should be thinking about and communicating with your players is, what is this campaign about? Now, when I ask this, I'm not asking you what is the plot of the campaign. That's not what we're doing. What I'm asking you when I ask what's the campaign about is, what will the players be doing and what will your campaign be rewarding? And looking ahead a little bit, you'll find that whatever your campaign rewards is the type of activity your players will do. So the way to figure this out, and the way that I found is the best, is to ask your players, what do you want to do? The only issue with that strategy is that unless they are experienced in role-playing, they don't know what they want. A lot of players, in my experience, in my opinion, have no idea what they want. So what I like to do is either to say, this is the type of campaign that I'm excited about, that I'm inspired for, and that I want to design for. And this is important. If you remember in our last video, which you should definitely check out, we talked about how you should only design what you need for the next session. That means for exactly the next session, not the one after that, and designing when you're inspired. So basically tell them what you're going to run and they're probably going to be okay with it, or give them a list of a few options that you're okay with, or if you have experienced players, just ask them. Remember to ask not what do you want the plot to be, ask what do you want your characters to do in this campaign. Do you want to be pirates? Do you want to be mercenaries? Do you want to be maybe heist artists? So that's the first very important part. Come up with, what is your campaign about? What are the players going to do? Now, don't fall into this trap of, as I've said before, designing a plot. I see so many people online designing a plot. That's not what you want to do. There are 2 bad behaviors that happen when you make a plot, especially when you're not good at it. The first thing that happens is you say, let's give an example. The volcano wakes up. And then the noble walks up to the players. There's always the word noble there, and it's repeated multiple times. The noble walks up to the players, and he tells them, you must save the town from the volcano. And then a Tarrasque appears. What's the issue with this chaos? It's not just that it's a bunch of nonsense, obviously, it's just an example. It's that we are joining these events by saying, and then, and then, and then. That means that these events have no necessary relation between them. In other words, they don't cause one another, they just happen to happen in connection. So whenever you're planning for any session of your campaign, and especially the first one, avoid using words like, and then this happens, and then this happens. Instead, use something like, therefore. When you say therefore, there is a causal relation of determination. In other words, the next thing that happens is determined by a cause. It's a cause and effect. Things don't just happen. And also, the issue with coming up with plots is that they have nothing to do with the players. I go onto so many online forums, Reddit, and I see DMs saying they planned this elaborate campaign and they ask, is this good? And I just read a plot of events that happen, and I'm like, if I'm a player, what does this have to do with me? So anyways, I know that was long-winded, but the first thing to do is to figure out what your campaign is about, and that means figuring out what are the player characters going to do. It does not mean figuring out a plot. The next thing you're going to do is, now that you have what happens in my campaign, what are the players going to do? For example, if my players are explorers, I want my campaign to reward exploration. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a list of behaviors in bullet points that I want to encourage, that I think embody and make the campaign feel like an exploration campaign. So let me give you an example. Here I have 4. The first one is overcoming danger. The second one is being the first in a long time to discover and visit a landmark. The third is learning lost information. And the fourth is acquiring a magical artifact. Those are all behaviors that in my mind, players in that type of game will do. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to say at the end of every session, you communicate this to your players, at the end of every session, for each of those things that happened in this session, you take 1 point of XP, or however it works in your system, some points of XP, and use this system to hand out XP to your players. You'll be surprised, or perhaps not at all, that when you reward certain kinds of behaviors, that's what the players are going to do. So what we've done is we said we're not going to make a plot, we're going to say what our campaign is about. What are player characters going to be doing? And then we identified a list of behaviors that the players are probably going to take part in. And then we say that we reward these behaviors in our games, whether it's with XP or gold, or I recommend XP usually, but it's up to you. It depends on your game. Not everybody plays D&D 5th edition. The next thing we're going to figure out is what to do when you actually get to that session 1, because you do need to have something planned for it, and believe it or not, you do need to have some resemblance of a plot, as in something is happening in this area of the world before the players are thrust into it. And for that, we're going to need to do some planning. So this is the second part of designing the campaign, which is making the first session. Here is what you want in the first session. By the end of it, you want to have introduced the A plot, the B plot. You want the players to have solved a minor quest, or at least have one assigned to them. And you want the players to make some kind of choice. Those are the 4 things you want to happen in your first session. So let's start with the first thing. What is the A plot? The A plot is the main conflict in your campaign. So you need to write down and figure out what is the main conflict in your campaign. For example, let's say the players start as mercenary in a certain country, and the country next to it is going to invade it, and everyone knows that there is a war coming. So the A plot is pretty large in size and scale, and when the players start out, there is no way that their characters are going to be able to truly affect it in a strong way. So what we do with the A plot in our first session is we introduce it. And over the course of the game, we start small. So at first, the players are going to be dealing with, say, a lieutenant of the main bad guy of that kingdom that wants to declare war, or maybe even that lieutenant's officer. They're going to start small by dealing with low-level bad guys. And then over the course of this campaign, this is going to unravel whether the players are there or not. There is urgency to this and a ticking time bomb. That country is going to invade this country, whether or not the players do anything. Plan A is something that's about to explode. It's a burning fuse that is leading to a powder keg. And in that way, it is also inevitable. In an open world game, it's hard to know what the hell your characters are going to do. But if your A plot is grand enough and urgent enough and dangerous enough, like a ticking time bomb, then it's going to be inevitable that the players take some kind of role in it. So the second thing we're going to figure out is the B plot. What is the B plot? It's something that happens sooner or later. Some kind of tension that's simmering, that's totally separate from the A plot. So for example, while the players are trying to figure out how to prevent this war, or maybe they want to make sure that the invading country wins the war, while all of this happens, there's a manticore running loose, wreaking havoc on the local villages. Something very important about the B plot is to make sure it's something you have control over as the GM. You have control on whether the manticore shows up now or tomorrow or never. And the reason you want to have that tool is because the A plot is so grand and kind of abstract and sometimes beyond the reach of the players, and the players can get stuck and not know what to do and be spinning their wheels, you can throw the B-plot at them to add the tension back to the campaign. Players are risk averse. They don't want to put their characters in more danger than they have to, so sometimes you have to bring the danger to them. So at least have a plan to introduce the B-plot in this session so the players know this is danger that is out there and that's going to come for us sooner or later. So now if you remember, we had introduced the A-plot, introduced the B-plot, and the third thing I said is solve a minor quest. What do I mean by that? Just as with the A-plot, we have the players oppose some kind of low-level lieutenant or low-level officer of the bad guys. We are going to have the players work for a low-level or officer of the good guys. So I find that something that is difficult, at least for me when I'm starting a new game, is to actually give players that first quest. The time between when you start and when you actually know what it is you're supposed to do, we want to minimize that awkward phase where everybody is like, hello, Gronk says. So my best suggestion to this is be as clear and as obvious and direct as you can with the players. You can have as many twists and turns and crazy turns of events later down the line, but right now the players don't know anything about this world, so make it simple for everyone involved. Literally just have an obvious quest that you give them. Just give them a quest. Again, later on, you will have more context from what happens in the game to draw from and make more elaborate quests, but for now, keep it simple. Also make sure that the scope of the quest is simple. For example, go to the local bandit camp and clear it, and this will be your reward. This is a good chance for everybody to be familiar with their characters, what their characters can do, and the rules. And I will also say that a lot of times in many games, combat is the part that's most mechanically difficult, so it would help to have a very simple combat encounter in that first quest. And something important to note is that when we do this, and in general when we come up with quests, we come up with problems and not solutions. We say, go destroy the bandit camp. We don't tell them how to do it. They can lie about it if they want. We just give them a problem. So another thing you should make sure you do when you give out this quest is to make sure it has a good actionable verb in it. And what I mean by an actionable verb is that the players, just by hearing the verb, know what's expected of them to complete the quest. For example, when I say destroy the bandit camp, that's pretty clear. You know what you need to do to destroy something. An example of a verb that's not good is something like investigate. That doesn't mean anything. For example, let's say we say investigate the bandit camp. What does it actually mean to investigate? When you find yourself using verbs like this that are very vague, ask yourself, why are they doing that action? So for example, let's say our verb is they need to investigate the captain's office. Well, that's not good. Let's ask ourselves, why do they need to investigate the captain's office? Let's say they need to do this to determine whose side the captain is on. So instead of making the verb investigate the office, make the verb determine which side the captain is on. So that's the third thing we want to do, which is solve a minor quest. And of course, give the players a minor quest, make that minor quest. The next thing we're going to talk about is making a choice. What do I mean by that? So the players just made these brand new characters, and they have these ideas about what the characters value, what they fear, what they want, their goals. We want to give the players an opportunity to showcase these things by giving them a choice. Give them some kind of moral choice. It could be related to your A-plot or a B-plot. It's probably better if it's related to these things, but some kind of choice. For example, let's say that after destroying the bandit camp, the players find a political prisoner in the camp. Let's say the bandits were about to sell the Duke's son for ransom, but maybe the Duke is a total asshole. Maybe the Duke's son is a total asshole. What are the characters going to do? Are they going to save this person who is not deserving of being saved? Are they going to sell him for ransom? Who knows? This is the question that can't just be answered using their character sheets. There isn't a skill or an ability that says, determine what to do with Son of Duke. This is good because when you give players problems that they can't solve with their character sheets or with their skills or with their swords, they begin thinking about what their character would actually do. They start role-playing. So that's why we want to make sure your players make some kind of choice. So I know this has been kind of long, so to summarize what we've gone over so far, we said that 1, you want to determine what's your campaign about, and also what you're going to reward because of that. And the second thing that you want to do is to actually plan, or at least outline your first session, where you want to have introduced the A plot, the B plot, you want to have the players solve a minor quest, and you want the players to make a choice. So the last thing we're going to do, which might sound funny because a lot of people start with this, but I'll explain why we're doing this now, is we're going to do world building. Now, I have a whole video on open world building, which you can check out, I think here, but it may be here, but I'm pretty sure it's here. And that's going to be helpful for you. But here we're just going to talk about the parts that are integral to the first session. So obviously you have your A plot and your B plot, and you want to incorporate those into a world where those make sense. The second thing you want to do, because this is an open world game, is to make a map that is going to be used for exploration. The reason we do this step last is because we want to be able to know what we need to put on the map. For example, if our A plot has a castle, then we're going to need to put a castle on the map. If our B plot has a manticore, maybe we're going to put a manticore's lair on the map. Please check out my video. I know I keep saying it, but I give you tips there about what to put in your map, what to not put in your map, how much information. Should you put all of it? Should you put none of it? It's all discussed there, so it's going to be really helpful. These are kind of like twin videos. They're both really good for open world building. So make a map, put things on it, and then one thing that I find is important for an open world is obviously to have the world that's open that you can explore in. So you need to have some kind of overland travel system, some kind of system that actually allows you to explore the map. And I might make a whole video about how to make exploration fun. I have a video about that, but it's, I think, my second video. It's like one of the oldest videos, and I don't think it's that good, so I might remake it. But you need to have an overland travel system. There are many systems out there that you can use. Sadly, D&D, of course, says that a pillar of play is exploration, but it has no mechanics for exploration, which is sad. So when I make that video about exploration, I'll probably give you the system that I use, that I like, because I made it, and I'm biased. No, I'm not. And when you do exploration, one important thing, and I'll go into more detail on the exploration video, one very important thing is to keep track of distances, keep track of time, keep track of the passage of time that makes exploration feel real, keep track of resources and food. You don't have to go deep into the survival aspect, but at least tracking these will make it feel like you're exploring a world. So find the exploration system that fits you and your playstyle and your table and use that. Now, when you make the map, it will be pretty empty, obviously, because you're making a whole world. And actually, you don't have to start with a whole world. I would start with just the local region. Don't start with anything the players won't reach to in this session. So just make your local map. Don't fall to world builder's disease, where you just keep world building and never stop because it will never be ready. Please check out the video I made on that. It's really, I think, going to help you. The video about leaving space, that's going to be somewhere. If you want the thesis of that video, it's that only world build what you absolutely 100% need for this session. Whatever next session you're going to run, doesn't matter. For this session, these 3 hours or 4 hours or however you quantify your sessions, only plan for that and plan what you're inspired by. And that's it. You will be shocked, or maybe you wouldn't be if you watch that video, with how little it takes to actually run a fun game for your friends. So that's the third part, having an exploration system and doing some amount of world building just for your first session. Now, one pitfall that I see many people fall to is that as these sessions progress, they make things a lot more complicated than they have to. They go back to their evil inclinations as people who read the Dungeon Master's manual and make plots again. And let me just tell you something right now. This is honest advice. When you continue your open world game, you don't need to have an elaborate plot. Remember that you're the DM. You have all the information in the world. When your plot has one twist, that's already enough to throw your players off and to make them feel clever when they discover that twist. When you have two twists, again, you're the GM, you know everything in this world. Two twists, that's already a lot. Only the best, smartest, brightest players might discover the second twist. A lot of times it's too much. 3 twists, forget about it. Stop making overcomplicated plots. Please, I see so many posts on Reddit with overcomplicated plots. Stop. Focus on what your players do in this game. What are their characters going to do? Are they mercenaries? Are they pirates? And go with that. And if you want to have a character that's a little interesting, that has a little bit of a twist, just add just one twist. One is enough to make your players feel clever. So to summarize what I said in this video, the first thing you want to do when you start an open world game is to figure out what is your campaign about. That is, what are the players going to be doing in this campaign? And then you reward that thing in your campaign with whatever reward currency your game has. The second thing you do is you plan your first session, where you're going to have the introduction for the A plot, intro to the B plot. You're going to have the players solve a minor quest and make a choice. And the last thing you're going to do is you're going to take what the players are supposed to be doing, and you're going to take what is necessary from your A plot and B plot and all of that, and you're going to make a world. You're going to make only what you need for this session. And in that world, you're going to implement an exploration system. Because of course this is an open world game and we need some kind of exploration system. I hope you liked that breakdown and I hope that it's helpful for you. If you liked it, press the like button. Let's do 5 times on the like button, 3 times on the subscribe buttons, and 11 times on the bell. Just make sure it's an odd number of times, unless you're already subscribed. If you're already subscribed, then forget about it. You don't just leave a like, and I have to tell you to do this. I can't tell you how much it helps because truly I don't know, but I'm sure it does something. Anyways, if you did like the video and you want to see more, just let me know. If you want to say something, I'm always glad to see comments, so just comment below and I'll respond. I always respond to my comments. I don't know what the next video is going to be about, but it's probably going to be a while. It's probably going to be next year because I'm traveling, seeing friends and family and loved ones and all that good stuff. I hope you will enjoy the rest of your day, or have a good sleep tonight, or enjoy your dinner if it's the afternoon for you, whatever it is. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. I suppose that would be, I will see you next year.